Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob ENT podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. We have another I'm about to say the episode wrong. We have another episode for the new series of Do You Know Your Team? And we have special guests on with us tonight. Podcaster, OG, NBA threader, Thunder fan, Evan Kuck is in the building. How are you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing great. Hey, I love the new intro for the show. And this concept is a great idea. So I'm super excited to be here.
Appreciate it. We're excited to have you on. I know it's been a long time coming. We look in the DMs. It goes back last year trying to figure out a show. So
yeah,
glad to have you on for sure.
Everybody's busy, man.
Yeah, it's busy schedule. Glad to have you hop on with us. So we're going to start off. If y'all didn't catch that, he is an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. So this episode is OKC trivia, who he played for, and talking about how they are doing so far this season. Hit that subscribe button, share, like, tell any and everybody. First question. What year was the Oklahoma City Thunder established in?
So that was the 2007-2008 season. We're in year 16.
Starting off 1 for 1. We got the first one correct. The head coach of the team when they got their first win was
that was PJ Carlissimo, I believe. He was still the coach at the time.
See, I was about to give you options, but you know your team, so I didn't have to give you options right there. PJ Carlissimo, 2 for 2. The all-time leader in three-pointers made in a single season at 292 belongs to who?
292. I mean, it's got to be Durant, right?
Actually, it was that Paul George season.
It's PG.
I got one person stuck for one wrong.
See now I feel terrible because Jarrett, he's going to make everybody look bad. He went 10 for 10 on the who he played for and 5 for 5 on the. Thanks for making us all look bad, Jarrett.
In 2017, Russell Westbrook scored a franchise best 51 points in a playoff game. What team was that against? The Warriors, the Rockets, or the Spurs?
This was in 2017?
2017.
That was the Rockets.
Ding, ding, ding. Another correct one right there. Now, the fifth question. In 2012, the Thunder had one draft pick, the 28th overall pick. Who did they select?
We got options for this one. Because that's a 2012 pick. They selected
Perry Jones, Vanderblue, and who was my other option? Serge Ibaka.
I believe that was the Perry Jones year.
Perry Jones.
Yeah, Perry Jones. Yeah, I think that was they took a big swing. He had that medical condition coming out of college, but they said like athleticism wise, they hadn't seen a prospect like that since LeBron James. So kind of a risky pick, but it's the 28th pick. So what are you going to do?
28th pick. That means y'all had some winning last year, the year before that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, like you said, why not take a flyer? If he turns out to be as athletic, it would have panned out really great. It didn't work out, but obviously OKC is not lacking for nothing now in these last couple years and years to come, how they've been set up. You are on the East Coast. How did you become an Oklahoma City Thunder fan?
Well, I was actually born and raised in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So my connections start there. I've been a basketball fan my entire life. That's a lifelong love affair. It's my favorite sport and it always will be. But the way that I became an Oklahoma City Thunder fan actually started a couple of years before with the New Orleans Hornets when they got displaced by Hurricane Katrina. They needed somewhere to go play basketball for 2 seasons, and my dad bought season tickets to the New Orleans Hornets for the 2 years that they were in Oklahoma City. And my brother and I used to alternate which games we were going to go to, and we'd go to Oklahoma City all the time and watch basketball. That was that Chris Paul, David West, Tyson Chandler. That was a really fun team. So that's really where that's where the Thunder fandom started, the NBA fandom.
Now, you being on the East Coast, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been to, I'm sure, games in different areas.
Yeah.
It's been said that the fans in Oklahoma City at those games, that home court, is like no other. You actually have experience in it. What is it like in that arena compared to some of the other ones that you've gone to?
Everybody's really dialed in because I think it's just probably because it's our only pro sports franchise. So it's the one, I think OU football is probably the biggest thing in the sport, but Oklahoma City basketball is a really tough number two there. I'll tell you, man, I actually, a couple of years ago, this probably was the 2018 season. That was the year they played the Utah Jazz, and they had this 25-point comeback at home against the Jazz. They were down 25 in the second half. They came back in the third quarter, and I think they took the lead by going into the fourth quarter. It's one of the craziest games I've ever been to, but that is also the loudest arena I've ever been into in my life. My ears were popping. I couldn't think. All I could do was scream with everybody else. It's one there's not really an experience when that crowd gets going and they get hyped up. It's one of the best crowd experiences you'll ever be a part of. I've been to games in Charlotte. I've been to games in Denver, Chicago. And, those weren't the best teams, I think, around the time that I went there. I don't think anybody's as engaged as Oklahoma City Thunder fans when they're at the game and they take that loud city moniker. They take it very seriously.
I can definitely say that because, like you said, that's the main team there outside of OU football. I've seen it firsthand, Miami Heat games, Lakers teams. They got other options. They got other things to do. They could go to the beach. They could go do this.
Sure.
Brooklyn Nets, they haven't been good as of late, but they're being more competitive this year. Those games was empty a lot of the times.
There's something to be said about these smaller markets. The passion that they have is unrivaled. They may not make as much money from a marketing standpoint, but as far as a dedicated fan base, there's something to be said for that.
Hey, OKC is on my list of places that I want to go for games. My wife knows I got a list of I want to be able to, before I die, which is hopefully a long time from now, I want to be able to go to every arena. OKC is at the top of my list because I've heard nothing but great things about going to their games.
Yeah, you gotta wait until they build the new arena. They just passed a tax for the city for about $1 billion over the next few years, where they're going to build a new arena and a new entertainment district around the arena. The mayor of Oklahoma City was actually recently at the Intuit Dome in LA taking in a Clippers game because they were getting ideas for things they wanted to do with the new arena in Oklahoma City. So, and then in a couple of years from now, when you go, there'll be a new arena in Oklahoma City that you can go check out. And there's a whole entertainment district that's going to be around it.
Oh, that sounds fire. And it's deserved because it's been great basketball there for the last couple of years. And by all means, unless, knock on wood, some crazy injury, I've said it plenty of times on multiple podcasts. The Thunder are going to be in that mix and conversation in championship for years to come, year after year after year. How many they get, don't know. But they're going to be in that conversation. It's been set up perfectly, and they're already off to a great start. 15-5 this season. What are you feeling? How are you thinking about your Oklahoma City Thunder? What's your evaluation so far these first 20 games in?
When you consider the amount of injuries that Oklahoma City's had to start the season, because last season they got very lucky with the injury bug. I don't think they were as talented of a team. They've obviously made improvements to the roster, bringing in Caruso and Hartenstein, addressing needs that they clearly had from last season as far as rebounding, size, matchup, personnel that makes sense for larger teams like the Lakers, Minnesota, Dallas, they gave Oklahoma City some trouble last year, especially with second chance points and opportunities. They took the opportunity to address those. But this season, Caruso's been hurt. Jalen Williams has missed a couple of games. Chet Holmgren, is out for several months with a very freak injury. All that being said, 15-5. That's a great start considering that the team hasn't really been at full strength yet. I think it's going to help them learn some things about themselves. Just finished up a really tough West Coast road trip with wins over Sacramento, the Lakers, and the Warriors, and then a very tough loss to the Houston Rockets, who are very talented. It's a very good team they lost to last night by 3 points, but very happy with the team. Shea is a superstar, and I think if you ask any Oklahoma City fan, the only thing they dread is when we got to start paying Chet and Jalen and everybody else. That bill's coming due soon, and we have to extend Shea. So all of that is going to come down. But I think the ownership and the front office have learned from past mistakes. I think they've learned from the Harden trade that championship windows are very short and they're very fragile. And if you're going to maximize your ability to win championships, you need to strike when the iron's hot and don't mess around with the tax bill. Pay the guys you got to pay, keep the team together, and make a run, because it's going to close faster than you think.
I've said that also. It's like they are set up because of the draft picks and the current roster. But the window to have this team, when you talking about SGA, J-Dub, you add in Chet, you add in Hartenstein, with the games he's played so far, we've seen why he got signed by the Oklahoma City Thunder.
5 straight double-doubles.
He's having an immediate impact, and I think it's going to be even crazier when Chet comes back. That window, though, is like, hey, it's maybe a 3 to 4, and it's not, and you got to hope health is on your side, like within that process. For you, like last year, he played all 82. He did it. He proved it. He said, you know what? I'm going to go play all 82 since it was a concern. He was out his rookie season. With him being injured again, and it's a freak injury, is there any concern you as a fan on Chet Holmgren in the future with his health?
I think that's always a risk when you have somebody with a very atypical body type that Chet has. It's not as big as Victor Wembanyama's, but it's very similar. And I don't know. I know those two get very chippy. They're very competitive guys. But I wonder if there's a way for Oklahoma City to adopt or at least learn some of the things that Victor Wembanyama does to take care of his body. Because if you've ever seen Victor Wembanyama's pre-game, post-game, the way he takes care of his body, it's a lot more of like agility, balance stuff. It's not a lot of weight training and bodybuilding and that stuff. Because I don't think adding more weight is going to save him from future injuries. I don't think that changes anything, but it would be nice to see that, like, if he could kind of model the way that Victor takes care of his body, it would be helpful maybe in preventing some further future injuries for Chet. There's always a concern with that, but I do think the 2 times he got hurt, they were just super freak injuries. If a third one happens, I think you have to start saying maybe this guy's injury prone. Maybe he just doesn't have, but I think he's never really had an injury like that in high school or college. And so you kind of just hope that these are 2 very freak injury things and that this isn't something that's going to repeat itself in the future.
I'm rooting for Chet to be healthy. It's a very different situation compared to like when you talk about an Embiid or you talk about a Zion. You look at both of those players, you're looking at, one might be injury prone. The other just doesn't take care of his body really. When you look at Chet, I don't think he falls in any of those categories yet. We haven't heard anything like he doesn't take care of his body.
Yeah, no, he's one of those singular focus hoopers. Like, he just loves basketball so much. Like, he's very competitive. He's very focused. And that's a trend that you see a lot whenever Oklahoma City drafts players, because Sam Presti is the first one to tell you, we don't draft players, we draft human beings, we draft people. And Shea is super competitive, and he doesn't have, he has some focuses outside of basketball. He's married, he has a child, he has his fashion, but when he locks in on basketball, that man is completely locked in. And, Jalen Williams, same kind of thing. These guys that they draft, they're hyper focused, but they're also good dudes. So I think that's the reason that a lot of people seem to like the players on the Oklahoma City roster, because they're hoopers. They care about the game. They care about the history of the game. And that's where they keep their mind focused. And I think they understand that they have the opportunity to do something special with this team. And the only thing that I can see that they're missing as far as just the team construction is experience. And you can't get that experience if you aren't able to play together. So obviously wishing Chet all the best. Hope that he gets healed up and healthy. It's going to be a couple of months, but he's expected back this season. And hopefully he can get back and get himself conditioned to get geared up to make a deep run into the playoffs.
That's what we're hoping for. Like you said, I'm a Lakers fan, but it's hard to root against. Like, you can't really root against OKC. All the players that they have on their roster, like you said, they're good dudes and they're about basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't knock any player that, has other interests and things of that nature, but they keep the main thing, which is hard to root against them, because it's like they just want to play ball. Nobody really has like this crazy ego. We don't hear, unless you might have the insider tip. I haven't read anything where it's like, oh, Shea shoots the ball too much. Oh, Casey Wallace is complaining about minutes. Everybody is just like, yo, we just want to win.
If there's any, yeah, no, I agree with you. And if there's any complaint about this Thunder team, it's that they are a little bit too passive sometimes. That sometimes you're like, Lou Dort shoots a lot of shots, or he's gotten a lot of criticism on his shot selection in the past. But I think sometimes he shoots when nobody else is really willing to. The ball whips around and it ends up and it's the end of the shot clock, and Lou's like, well, somebody's got to shoot. I guess I'll do it. And I actually kind of respect him for that, because sometimes Shea can be a little passive. Like, everyone's trying to find the right shot instead of being like, we got to get the ball in the hands of our playmakers. And I think if there's one thing that you could point to that the team kind of lacks sometimes, is what Josh Giddey kind of did, which was the table setting point guard type. Because Jalen Williams has played point guard, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has played some point guard, Casey Wallace is obviously a lead guard type, but they don't have a main facilitator. And so the ball gets passed around a lot, but I think Shea leads the team. He's at like 6.7 assists per game, which is, I think, a career high for him. And he's also the guy who shoots the most shots. So he's just got the ball in his hand a lot. So I think by pure just where the ball ends up, that's why he leads the team in assists. I don't think that he's as much a natural passer in that sense. Like, he's not Trae Young, Chris Paul, Tyus Jones, these natural table setting point guards. So that's maybe the one knock, is that they pass around the ball too much, because they don't have someone to put people in positions to say, when I hit you, shoot it. Like, ball hits your hands, put it up.
Yeah, that's maybe one thing you could, you pick in here is like, all right, maybe they should have that.
That's really picking nits right there. That's not really a big criticism. I think they're pretty good all around.
I'd love to play on this team. If for whatever reason I was able to graduate college and semi-pro, and then from semi-pro they drafted me, I'd love to play on this team, because like you said, they share the rock. Even though really, which people, if you watch the game, Shea could average 40, like, but he is passing the rock a lot of times where he could go get that bucket. J-Dub, I think they have that same archetype, that same setup of what they have in Boston. Tatum and Brown, two-headed monster. The great thing is we don't hear nothing in Oklahoma about, hey, break them up and who's the head guy and who's in charge. We don't hear none of that in Oklahoma City, which is great. I hope it stays that way.
Yeah, I do too. Look, every single fan loves J-Dub. Every single person is like, we're going to pay that man whatever he wants. We love him. We want him forever. It is a little bit, I think the team construction of Oklahoma City, I think you nailed it. I think it's just like Boston's. I think it's very similar. You got two, I guess you could call them homegrown. I know that Shea wasn't drafted by OKC. They got him from the Paul George trade, but it is like homegrown superstars that they have on the team. They brought in these guys that they selected because they fit what the Thunder were trying to build. For the longest time, I think Sam Presti, he would draft these rangy, athletic wings and just hope that they could develop how to shoot. And, on a couple of those, they did kind of hit. They got Jeremy Grant and developed his jump shot. They've had a few guys that kind of they've gone to other places and really thrived. If you look at Trey Mann, that's a guy who's thriving in Charlotte right now, having a great time. The Hornets fans seem to love him. And we love that for him. We're like, Trey he didn't quite fit what Oklahoma City was trying to do. And now he's somewhere else and he's got a bigger role and he looks great. But now the type that Sam Presti's been drafting has been these do everything combo guard forwards. You can even look at the latest draft, that Nikola Topic draft pick. He's a 6'6" guard who can do a little bit of everything. Jalen Williams, 6'6" guy who can do a little bit of everything. I mean, he's played center for this team. He's played power forward. He's played point guard when Shea is sitting out of the game. They literally draft these guys. They're like, we want to be able to put you in positions where you're going to do things that are uncomfortable for you, but we want to see how you respond. And so far, these guys have the will and the tenacity to respond to these. I saw multiple times last night on a switch and during that Rockets game where Cason Wallace was guarding Alperen Şengün and just holding his own. Just like fronting him, not letting him get the ball in the paint. Cason Wallace is 6'2". Yeah. He's just tough and he's scrappy, and they just pick these guys and they're fun to watch. And it's fun to watch a team that didn't have a center for a couple of weeks roll out lineups where the tallest guy is 6'6", 6'7". And they're like, yeah, we can play your center. We don't mind.
Those lineups with the 15-5 with the lineups that they had to throw out. Shout out to the whole roster, a team full of dogs figuring it out. Like you said, watching the game, Cason Wallace actually holding his own and Şengün isn't just having his way. That's a team that's really just set up perfectly of the same ideas, same structure, same mentality. Every single player won to the last man on the bench.
Did you hear the criticism that Draymond Green threw out about the team, about the group interviews that they do? Did you agree with that at all? Or did you think that was silly? I just kind of thought that was kind of a weird little thing to pick on.
Draymond. It's Draymond.
It's Draymond. All right. Fair enough. Not like Oklahoma City doesn't have a history with that, man.
Yeah, it's Draymond. I personally, like I said, I like that. That shows the camaraderie. That shows the team. We got to keep in context who this is. This is a person that punched his own teammate. So, obviously, you don't really like to have interviews like that. So I hold that in my mind of context when it's Draymond talking about that.
No, you're absolutely right. That's a smart way to think about it.
For you, if you had to predict the rest of the season, what ends up happening for this Oklahoma City Thunder team?
Am I being honest, like how the season ends?
How the season ends, yes, sir.
If I'm trying to stay positive, Chet comes back fully healthy. We have our team geared up for the run. We weather the storm without him. We have a top 3 seed, and we make our run and go back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2012. I think the lack of experience, you have to understand that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played in his first real playoff game since his rookie year. He played 6 games and with the Clippers in his rookie season against the Warriors, 6 tough games. And he actually had one game, I think he dropped 25 in a playoff game.
Yeah.
And then this was his first run as the number 1 guy on a team. But he's played 10 playoff games in that role. And if you look at guys like Tatum and Brown, haven't they played 100-something plus games as teammates in the playoffs alone? Just that that's so hard to compete with. I think that Oklahoma City is one of, if not the best team in the West. And I think that they have a roadmap that can get them to the NBA Finals. All things being equal and everyone's healthy, I had Boston beating Oklahoma City in the NBA Finals. That's just me being a realist. I just don't think anybody's on the same level as far as talent and experience with that Boston team. But I think this is how Oklahoma City kind of earns their playoff stripes. This is how they learn what it takes to win a championship. So I think that they end up winning about the same number of games. I'm going to say about 58 games. I think they make it to at least the Western Conference Finals, if not the finals. That's how I see it playing out.
I can see that definitely happening. I've said it. If not this year, and the next 2 or 3, they're going to win a championship.
That's how I feel too.
If not, and like you said, earning your playoff stripes. It's very rare that you could come in your first time in the playoffs, first time making the finals with a team that doesn't have playoff experience and go win. That's typically doesn't happen. And to your point, Tatum and Brown, I don't think it's been one season that they weren't in the playoffs since they came to the league.
This is what, year 8 for them as teammates?
Yeah, like I think literally every single year.
Every single year.
That run with Kyrie, they had that run with Isaiah Thomas. They've been in the playoffs every single year.
Yeah, they made the finals against the Warriors in 22. They won the finals last season. They've been in the Eastern Conference champion. I mean, Tatum dunked on LeBron while he was still on the Cavs. Like, that's how long. Like, everyone like still thinks that Tatum, he is a young guy, no doubt, but he's been in the league since he was 19. I mean, the guy's 27 years old.
A very, very long.
He's a vet now.
Very long time.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Last year, when Oklahoma City won that playoff series against the Pelicans, that was the first. They were the youngest team to ever win a playoff series by the average of their age. And then they go into Dallas, play them 6 tough games. I think the point differential in those 6 games was like 0. Like if a couple of things went Oklahoma City's way rather than Dallas's way, they're playing the Wolves in the Western Conference Finals. But you got to earn that. And they lost to a very good Dallas team. That Dallas team ended up making the finals. And, if it weren't for maybe the injuries to Luka, maybe it's a more competitive series with the Celtics. But if you look at the West right now, it is a bloodbath. There is not an easy. The Utah Jazz are the only team not trying. Even the Trailblazers are kind of feisty. Like, these are teams that, you thought maybe we'll take a road trip and maybe this team or that team won't be very good. There's no nights off in the West. It's brutal out there.
Not one night. And then you have teams like the Timberwolves, who was at the top last year, starting off now, are struggling to even be in the play-in. You have the Kings, who are expected with the DeMar DeRozan addition to maybe be a play-in team. They're on the outside looking in. And like you said, Portland, I think, because I don't know if he's on the hot seat or not, but Chauncey Billups has them playing a better brand of basketball.
They made some interesting signings this year. I know this is an Oklahoma City pod and we're getting off the thing, but what I meant to say is just like they made some interesting signings, and like Oklahoma City played Portland recently, and it was not a walk in the park. They've got some guys that they've got playing very well. And so I'm just saying 1 through 14, you got to show up every single night when you're playing in the West. And there's not a lot of teams that are taking nights off. And there's a lot of teams that are injured right now. And when those players start to come back, the West is going to be
even
really
more
ugly. Yeah. So
even more
making it through not only the regular season, but through the Western Conference Finals is going to put, the stripes on your shoulder. You're going to earn them.
Oh, for sure. And that's why it's so great to get off to a 15-5 start, because we don't know how these teams are going to look a month from now, 2 months from now, when players get back. Shoot, hoping he gets back healthy. We might see the Pelicans go on a run with BI and Zion coming back healthy. We don't know. That's how crazy the Western Conference is.
I have such a special place in my heart for New Orleans, and they just keep getting hurt and keep just kind of not being able to put it all together. And, the best ability is availability. And it doesn't seem like they can stay on the court and stay healthy, but that team, when healthy, could compete. They're very good.
When healthy, what was it last year? They was a top 3 seed when everybody was healthy. Bi, Zion, CJ McCollum. He was shooting last year was his highest 3-point shooting percentage year in his whole career. You add on DeJounte Murray, as Rush says, as the mayor says of NBA Threads, can we turn the injuries off?
Please.
That would be great.
New Orleans also has one of those guys in Herb Jones that, since this is an Oklahoma City podcast, I'm going to make it about Oklahoma City. He guards Shea super well. He frustrates Shea, his length, his athleticism. He's got really good instincts. He makes Shea work for every bucket. Keon Ellis is another guy like that. He just makes Shea work. His tenaciousness, his feistiness, he makes Shea work. So guys like that are super essential. And New Orleans has one in Herb Jones, and that's not nothing because he can guard damn near everybody's best perimeter player, especially if your game is predicated with getting to the basket the way Shea's is. Try scoring over that guy 20 times a game in the paint. It's miserable. So I think that's why you've kind of seen a focus from Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to try and shoot more threes this year. He's shooting them more consistently. It started off a little bit rough. He started off shooting about 27% in the first 10 games. These last few games, he's pulled his average up to the season. I think he's shooting about league average, about 35%. If he starts pulling that up to, 37, 38%, if he adds that dimension to his game and he can do it consistently, it's going to really open up things for him in the offensive flow. And so I think that's why he's really made a pointed effort to get good at that. And just, by the way, with Shea not shooting that many threes last year, Oklahoma City was the number 1 3-point shooting team in the NBA last season. And they've struggled a little bit to start this season, but they've got guys like Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams. These guys can all shoot threes, and then Chet can shoot. They can shoot from the center position. So they've got shooters, and they've got a 5-out offensive system when Chet is healthy that can compete in the modern NBA and make teams just tire out because guarding them is exhausting.
Yeah. Guarding them, it would be exhausting. I'm glad I do not have to have any parts of that. Help defense, finding out the defensive scheme. Coaches definitely are losing sleep, having to play OKC. When the playoffs come, it might be a little bit more sleep because you got more time to plan out, but it's still so many options that they have. And like you said, if SGA is shooting around 38% from 3, you pray he miss. Yes, that's the defense.
Pick your poison.
Pray he misses, and that's it. Who is your favorite Thunders? Favorite 5 OKC Thunders of all time?
Like my personal favorite, like how much I love them.
Yes, your personal favorite.
Okay. So Russ is definitely number 1, and it will always be Russ. And when they build that new arena, they are going to put his statue outside the building, and I'm very excited for that. Steven Adams will always be a favorite just because of how funny he was. He is just one of the weirdest human beings that is in the league. And I've never heard anybody say one bad thing about him ever. He's just a great teammate, a great person. It's sad that to see him on the Rockets, it's just sitting on the bench and not getting a lot of run. I just wish that he could keep on playing. After that, I'm going to go Shea because Shea is a guy that I just really enjoy having on this team, and he's been special to watch. After that, I'm going to go with Nick Collison because he is the only Oklahoma City Thunder player who actually has his jersey number retired. The rest of the guys are Supersonics, but he is the only one that got him. He was Mr. Thunder. Everyone just likes a gritty role player guy who does all the little things and does them super well. And he was one of those guys. He just did a little bit of everything, and everyone liked him. So I think he still works with the Thunder front office in some capacity. I mean, he really planted his flag, and I always love the guys that like stayed with Oklahoma City. And 5, this is a little bit of a weird one, but I was such a huge fan of Anthony Morrow. He had this thing where he would catch the ball up here and he wouldn't even bring it down before he released it. He was practicing catching the ball above his head and just releasing the 3-pointer without bringing it down and getting into a shooting motion. So anytime we hit Amo, and I think is he the announcer for the Pelicans now? Or am I thinking of Antonio Daniels? I'm thinking
Antonio Daniels.
Yeah, but Morrow, I think he took on a role with Oklahoma City as well. But I really enjoyed Amo. We always loved watching him shoot. And we always needed shooting on those earlier Thunder teams. And we never had it. We traded for Kyle Singler, and his jump shot disappeared. We traded for we signed all these guys in free agency, and it just never happened. And if there's one reason I'm not going to include Kevin Durant on the list, it's because he ruined my 4th of July back in 2016. And as I've forgiven it, I loved him when he was here. I love him as a basketball fan. But that 4th of July, I was in the grocery store with my girlfriend at the time getting supplies for a 4th of July party when I found out that he was going to the Warriors, when I read that Players Tribune article. And then I ran into my dad in that same grocery store going to a different party. And I had to tell him that Kevin Durant was leaving. And it upset me so much to have to inform. My dad tried to wish me a happy 4th of July. I didn't even let him finish. I was like, Kevin Durant's going to the Warriors. And he just goes, no, he's not. No, he's not. And I was like, I've got to go, but I'm very sad. And I went and drank a bunch of tequila and got very sad on 4th of July. And I ruined my own party. And I'm very sad that happened. So as much as I've forgiven Kevin Durant and moved on from going to the Warriors, I will never forgive that 4th of July in 2016. I really made a mess of myself that day because Durant left. So
makes complete sense. I can't knock that. Can't knock that at all. It's like you said, at least you come to a point where you're forgiving them for it.
I think most rational fans have, but it's some people, they still boo him like it's 2017. And I'm just like, come on, we have a whole new team.
Whole new regime.
Yeah, whole new regime. Yeah, I'll say like everything that happened with this team has led it to what we have now. So for all the things that we failed at and all the things that the teams that we fielded that should have won more games and didn't, and the dynasty that never was, that all hurts, but it's also a learning curve. It's not just for players and it's not just for coaches. There's a learning curve for front offices and there's a learning curve for ownership. And I think the lesson, as always, is pay your guys when you have the chance. The Harden trade's always going to hurt. I think that's always going to be associated with Oklahoma City until they win a championship. But, there's a whole new group of guys that are here that the city is falling in love with, and that they're supporting and making sure that they know that Oklahoma City is home and that we support them and we want them here. So, you got to realize we didn't pay James Harden, but we paid Serge Ibaka. Well, the Serge Ibaka trade led us to getting Victor Oladipo. Victor Oladipo led to us getting Paul George. Paul George led to us getting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So we don't pay Ibaka. We don't end up, maybe we win a championship with that team, but we don't end up with the team we have now. And I think given the circumstances and given how this team is set up for the long run, I think there's some people that would trade maybe one championship back then for a sustained run of championships or championship runs in the present. Maybe. That's maybe me being an optimist about it.
Most definitely. Winning cures everything. They win a championship. They win 2. Nobody is thinking about the James Harden trade. Nobody's thinking about the KD leaving. It all works out in the end for sure. Ending off the show with a new game that I created, inspired by TNT, because Charles Barkley never knows where these players go after the all season happens. So I'm going to test your knowledge, your history, with a new game called Did He Play for Them? 10 players. Nate Robinson.
Did Nate Robinson? I think he did. Like, yeah, he did. Like for a very brief period.
4 games he played for OKC.
4 games. I was like, that was man, way to start me off with a tough one. That was hard.
Derek Fisher.
Oh yeah, we definitely had Derek Fisher. He was on those Thunder teams there in the 13-14 range.
Daniel Orton.
That name sounds familiar. Yes?
Yes, Kentucky product. He was a part of, I believe, the Boogie Cousins Kentucky team. He came off the bench for Boogie.
Okay, yeah, I do remember him. Yeah, did he have a strange spelling of his name? Was it like?
I think it was ORTON.
No, I thought I'm trying to think of a reason to make him stand out, but he is not coming up.
He only played, I believe, it was 1 season with you guys. The first season that he came, he got injured. He played 1 season with you guys, and then that was it. I think he only played like 56 games in his career.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, he had some injuries issues. Amir Johnson.
No, I don't believe he ever did.
Grievous Vasquez.
No, I don't think so.
So far, you got all of them right.
Okay.
Sebastian Telfair.
I think we had Bassie.
2014, 2015 season.
Oh man, I thought him and LeBron when they came in the league together. I saw them on the cover of Slam magazine. I thought that guy was going to be the truth.
Yeah. Everybody has some hope in Bassie, but I don't even know what really happened. Why it didn't pan out, really?
Sometimes it happens like that. There's just guys who come into the league that just, for whatever reason don't pan out. But you kind of hold on to this like he had all the tools. He could have been a guy, and it just didn't work out.
Exactly. I've seen him on an interview. I think it was with All the Smoke. I need to hear from another source of what happened because that was pretty much a little bit of a his fault. I need to hear from somebody else that can tell me what really happened. Why didn't it pan out for Sebastian Telfair?
Kind of makes you appreciate LeBron a little bit more because he came in with all the hype and he lived up to it, which is kind of crazy because maybe sometimes it's just the pressure gets to you.
To get the tattoo chosen one on your back, you
better live up to it.
End up with a Kwame Brown career. You would have to get that. You would have to get that tattoo removed for sure.
Oh man.
Ronnie Turiaf.
Ronnie Turiaf. I want to say yes.
Ronnie Turiaf did not play.
There it is.
For OKC. Played for, I think, about 7 different teams.
He bounced around. That's why I thought he was on our team for a minute.
Most memorable, obviously, the Lakers run, but not the Pelican. Not the Thunder.
Gotcha.
Tyrus Thomas.
No.
Correct on Tyrus Thomas. Tony Douglas.
I don't believe so. No.
Now, so far, you 8 for 9.
Let's go. One more.
Last one. None other. He's been around on multiple teams, and he is still currently in the league, making it happen some way, somehow. Taj Gibson.
Yes, he did play for the Thunder. And I'm going to be honest. Last season, I went to a Thunder Knicks game when I was in Oklahoma. I was back visiting family, and I went to go hang out with some friends in Oklahoma City. We went to a game, and we were by the visitors' entrance, by their hallway. And when Taj Gibson was walking back through the locker room, he was one of the last guys through. He was playing for the Knicks. I screamed, "I love you, Taj." And he screamed back, "I love you too." And he actually has a lot of respect and a lot of love in OKC. People still love Taj Gibson. He came in with that like Enes Kanter, Paul George, weird team over there. But yes, I love Taj.
Hey, I know it's a lot of places that love Taj Gibson. And I think that goes into outside even the fans, is teammates and coaches. Because Taj still has a job in the league.
Yes. Is he with the Hornets right now?
Yes, I believe so. I believe
Yeah.
he's with the Hornets.
I think people just love that he's a competitor. He's just one of those guys, like when those Chicago teams endeared him to a lot of people. He was really fun on those teams.
Todd Gibson, I take him any day of the week, just even off of the veteran presence to have him around. I don't think he's playing major minutes in Charlotte,
No.
but for that team,
Was he like 38? Love that guy.
39 years old. So
39. There you go. Man, my knee hurts right now. I don't know how he's doing that. My knee hurts from playing no kind of college ball or no kind of pro ball. I don't know how he does that, but built different. I'll tell you that. Taj Gibson's one of one. I love that guy.
shout out to Todd Gibson. And part of the reason why Todd is still able to do it because he stays ready, so he doesn't have to get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.
Peace. Oh man, that was so fun.